Story: Wisdom does not lie in being right. A boy sat at his desk, looked up and asked his father, "Dad, are you always right?" The father looked at his son and smiled slightly, then said, "I have gone through a lot of experience, so I am often right." The boy nodded and continued to ask, "So, why did Mr. Einstein say that nothing is absolute, including being right?" The father thought for a moment, then replied, "He is a genius, son. Maybe what he said is more profound than mine." The boy smiled and continued to ask, "So if people believe they are always right, will they miss out on those profound things?" The father fell silent, realizing that sometimes great things do not come from always being right, but from daring to accept that you may be wrong and learn more. Lesson learned: being right or wrong is not as important as always being open to learning, because only when we are willing to recognize our limits can we overcome them.
Story: The value of ability lies in its place. One day, a boy stood looking at a small boat anchored on the shore. He asked a nearby boat builder, "Uncle, why do these boats have such big sails?" The boat builder smiled and replied, "The big sails help the boat catch the wind better, pushing the boat faster on the sea." The boy curiously asked, "Then why is the boat's body curved?" The boat builder patiently explained, "The curved body helps it glide across the water more easily and not sink." The boy thought for a moment, then asked, "Then why doesn't the boat fly up into the sky like a kite, even though it has such a big sail?" The boat builder laughed loudly, "Because boats are born to swim on the water, not to fly in the sky. In the right place, in the right circumstances, the boat will fully demonstrate its ability." The boy nodded, looked at the boat and said, "So each thing has its own mission, and only when it is in the right place, it can do special things." Lesson learned: each of our skills and abilities is valuable, but only when we find the right environment can they really shine. Not everything can be applied everywhere.
Story: True strength does not need to be spoken. One day, in a remote forest, an experienced hunter broke his bow while hunting. He went to a forest god to ask for a new bow. The god gave him 2 bows and said, "One is very strong, the other is powerless. Choose one of them." The hunter picked up one bow and asked, "Is this one strong?" Immediately, the bow spoke, "I am the strongest bow, you will never be disappointed if you choose me." The hunter smiled, put down the bow and chose the other bow, which did not say anything. When he pulled the bowstring, the bow made a strong and steady sound. The hunter knew he had made the right choice. The hunter turned back and said to the god, "Only the weak are in a hurry to prove themselves. The truly strong do not need to show off." Lesson: people of true worth and power do not need to rush to prove themselves. Arrogance and boasting are often signs of inner emptiness, while true strength is always quietly and naturally expressed through action.
Story: Planting hope yourself. Once upon a time, there was a hard-working farmer living in the countryside. He planted many fruit trees. One day, he discovered that a large tree in his garden had died. Its branches and leaves were withered and no longer green as before. Sadly, he went to see a hermit on the mountain for help. The farmer said, "Dear hermit, my tree has died, even though I have watered and taken care of it every day. Please help me save it." The hermit smiled, pointed to the dry tree next to him and asked, "Do you see this tree? It has withered for a long time. I cannot bring it back to life. But you can plant a new tree." The farmer sighed, "I don't know what I can do when the trees in my garden keep dying." The hermit gently replied, "You just need to start over. Sometimes it's not about saving what is lost, but creating something new. If you continue to sit here and lament, no tree will grow by itself." The farmer pondered the hermit's words, returned home and set about planting a new tree. Day after day, he took good care of the tree, and eventually, the young tree grew stronger than the old one. Looking at the lush green tree, the farmer understood that no one but himself could change the situation. One day, a friend visited and saw the lush garden. The friend asked, "Who did you ask to help revive this whole garden?" The farmer smiled and replied, "I don't need anyone's help. I plant new trees myself." Lesson: in life, when faced with failure, don't always expect help from others. True change and growth come from your own hands and efforts. Not everyone can solve all your difficulties, but you always have the strength to start over.
Story: winning over yourself. There was a boy who loved running, but he had never won any competitions. One day, his school held a big running competition, and the boy was determined to participate. His mother knew that her son was not the fastest, but she still supported him to try his best. On the day of the competition, the boy prepared very carefully, but halfway through, he was gradually left behind by the other students. When the competition ended, he finished in the last group. Seeing her son panting and covered in sweat, his mother approached, worried that he would be disappointed. But contrary to her thoughts, the boy ran to hug his mother, his face beaming with pride. "Mom, do you know what wonderful thing just happened?" His mother smiled and asked, "What happened, honey?" The boy excitedly replied, "I'm not the last one, Mom. I ran faster than myself last time." The boy went on to talk about how great it felt to see himself making progress even though he wasn't the first. His mother realized that her son had learned something important. Winning isn't just about beating others, it's about beating yourself. Lesson: optimists find joy and meaning in even small steps forward, while pessimists see only failure. Success isn't always about finishing first, it's about pushing your limits every day. Thank you for listening. Goodbye and see you in the next short stories about life.